Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are looking at a Friday night slate here, pretty full slate to end this this weekday of the first week of the regular season here, Nate. In this one, we are taking a look at probably the worst team in basketball, the Spurs, taking on the Pacers, who looks okay in that first game for them as well, even though they did lose that one. Do make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us. We are bringing you these videos each and every weekday, a couple game videos, as well as that player props video that we are continuing to stay hot on this season after a really nice season last season. Also want you to head to thelines.com, have all of our great content on there for you guys all season long, and our great odds finder tool. You can go ahead and make sure you're shopping those lines to the best of your ability, including those NBA player props across US sportsbooks that I know Nate and I are using each and every day that we're picking these player props for you in that video we have for you today. Nate, let's go ahead and get into this full slate of games for Friday night tonight.
Yeah, the other game we break down leads it off. Pelicans -7 at Hornets. Totals at 228 there. Looking at the over, despite the fact LaMelo is expected to be out. The Spurs, as we talked about here, +2 on the road at Indiana. Totals 232. We'll get into that game in a minute. Bulls are +2 at Washington. Magic +9 at Atlanta. The Pistons +7 at the Knickerbockers. The Celtics -2 or 3 at the Heat. That's fluctuating a bit. Raptors +3 at the Nets. The Jazz +8 at Wolves. Grizz -7 at Rockets. Nuggets are +5 at the Warriors. And the Blazers are +5 at home against the Suns, who had to crawl back to avoid losing to the Mavs again there in their opener. But yeah, we're looking at the simple answer here, and it's find the worst team and see if the spread is manageable. And it is. It's now down to -2 for the Pacers at home against a Spurs team that was not particularly good on the road last year and really depended on DeJounte Murray to do everything, especially on the road. He had a personal 115 offensive rating, and the Spurs as a team dropped from 114 to 111 in terms of their offensive efficiency on the road. Certainly looked like the worst team in the league last night. I mean, I think Popovich got out on his opening presser and just straight up told people, yeah, I mean, you shouldn't bet on this team to win the championship, which is as much of an admission as anything that, like, we're playing for experience. I'm not going to say the word tanking, but we don't really care if we win these games. Maybe we'll get a better chance at coaching Victor Wembanyama next year. So, I mean, the Pacers are at least going to give their guys a fair shake. They at least have a relatively balanced roster. I don't know if Miles Turner is going to be on ice until he's traded, but that's the biggest concern for me is their rebounding. But I think we could see more Isaiah Jackson tonight alongside Jalen Smith to help shore that up as they face a bigger Spurs team that doesn't really crash the glass, but is solid in the rebounding department. The Pacers their offense is going to be good with Haliburton. Since they got him, they had that 124 offensive rating their last 20 games or so. And they opened up looking pretty sharp against the Wizards, like you said. Haliburton, 26 points. The Rook, Benny Mathurin, 19 points, 3 for 7 from deep. Off the bench, they had 15 threes in their opener. And when they've won 4 of their last 5 against the Spurs, hitting about 13.5 threes in those. Spurs allowed the Hornets to shoot 44% from 3 in their opener. So, I mean, you look at a Pacers team that has advantages to press on the offensive end here, and I just don't know where the Spurs are going to generate any offense. Keldon Johnson just kind of bowling his way to the rim. It's really a far cry from the Spurs of old with the beautiful ball movement or anything. Like, there's nothing going on here that really scares you, even against a Pacers team that was pretty damn bad at defense. I think they'll be able to hold their own at home against the Spurs roster.
Yeah, man, it's going to be a long season in San Antonio if you're expecting to win, which, as you said, Pop is making clear. Let me reset those expectations for you guys. If you think that we're going to be making any kind of run toward a playoff spot, I took under 23.5 wins for this team this season. Just looking at how, you have to pick some people to go on, some teams to go under. And even though 23.5 games is like, come on, you got to be able to pull out 24 wins in a 82 game season. If you're an NBA team, this roster is just really, really, really bad. And we saw exactly what, it can and really more like we can't do, against the Charlotte team in game one there, that you're like, come on, man. I mean, Mason Plumlee's, he's been there forever, and you've got Kelly Oubre on the wing still just sort of playing turnstile defense. You've got to be able to score. But, this, like I said, this roster, especially, after even you could say Keldon Johnson and Jakob Poeltl, even Devin Vassell, those are guys, even Josh Primo, those are guys that can contribute in a top 8 of a lineup, of a rotation in the NBA. That's true, but they would all be 6, 7, 8 at best on decent playoff teams at best is kind of my point. So I like you said, I don't really know what to talk about with this team in a way that I say they do anything well right now. And it's only been one game, but a 97 offensive rating with sub 44% effective field goal is like, just for the record, nobody had a 45% effective field goal percentage to end the season last year. It's very, very hard to be that bad on offense. So I think we're talking about when these teams start to get traded. -3 for the Pacers. It's a bit of a spit in the face to the Pacers. I think if you watch the episode about our futures and team wins, Mo and I both like the Pacers to compete. We don't think that that's really an organization that's going to just like try to tank too hard. I mean, at this point, they've got, some 24-year-old rooks or youngsters, and Chris Duarte came in as an old rook, and now you've got Benny Matz, who's also already, basically a seasoned vet. The way that he comes in and like we were talking about, that body type is already NBA ready. And 3 for 7 from deep showed that he's not worried about obviously the expanded perimeter out there from college. So I think he's going to come in and fit really, really well. Tyrese Halliburton showed already, that his scoring is something that I think he's going to up, and that's I think really what some people were probably, and I'll just speak for myself, what I would have been worried about with him coming into the season is like, are you going to just take on a scoring load here, my man, and like really own being the best player on this team? I think you saw with the usage rate that he put up and the fact that he put up all those shots and got those 26 that he opened up the season with on 18 shots, 55%. I really, really like that for Tyrese, I think he's going to be that efficient all season long. And I was one pick away from getting him in my fantasy draft because I knew he was just going to pad stats all season on a team that maybe it'll come close to winning 28 games, but it's definitely better, a lot better than this Spurs team that's going to find it hard to win 20 games this season.
Yeah, and that 45% sub effective field goal percentage came against the freaking Hornets, who we talk about as one of the worst defensive teams out there. So the Pacers also down there, but really thematically, this is more in my mind about the East being top to bottom better than the West now. And you look at these are bottom 4 teams in both conferences, but the Pacers seem much more competent. And even last year, that was starting to happen. I was on that pulpit. The Spurs went 10-20 straight up against the East. They went 12-19 against the spread. They went 15-39 straight up as underdogs last year. They've now lost 7 of their last 9 against the Pacers, dating back a few seasons. I mentioned 4 of the last 5 there, giving up 120 points per game to those Pacers. And as you point out, they lost 4 of their last 14, lost 10 of their last 14 without DeJounte. Very much, trying to sink to the bottom here, realizing that they kind of made the playing game against their will because DeJounte was so good last year, and they didn't really want that. They want the draft picks, and now they're making damn sure that they're going to get him.
Yeah, and that's, you had to get rid of DJ there. You had to get rid of DeJounte in order to be as bad as they are. And look, DeJounte is, as advertised on the Spurs, he's the same player on a much better Hawks team already. We saw game 1, first time ever that 2 teammates playing for the first time together got 10 assists in a game between Trey and DJ M there, as we call him. So I also love 17.5 points tonight for Tyrese Halliburton, as we were saying. I think he's going to be a 20 to 22 a game night scorer, and that prop is going to quickly rise to 19.5 to 20.5 every single night, if not more, as soon as people realize Tyrese is going to be putting up those points. So that is all the time we have for you guys in this one. Definitely want to make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us. Check out that player props video we also have for you guys tonight. Until we see you next, happy betting.